Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Artisan of Glimmith. This is episode 20 of our playthrough. We've done 187 so far, puzzles, that is, and we are going to continue on. And as we're letting the game load up, I just want to say a quick thank you to people that have been following along this journey and commenting. I'm just now starting to be able to see some of the posts that are going out. I think we're up to like episode 11 or 12 on YouTube. So I'm about a week ahead in the recording. So it takes a while before I can publicly comment on your comments because I'm in the future. So, but thank you so much to the people who have been leaving comments, commenting, so many kind comments. I do appreciate that so much. Appreciate the support on this. This is something very different for me doing this, but having a lot of fun doing it. I hope you are too. Let's jump into the next puzzle. Our new rule shape here is a Mingle shape, which is a neighboring regions must have different shapes. So I'm just going to think of this as if I put a shape in here, like this has to be a square, right? So we put a square. So we know that basically this border, by the way, I can middle click and get that. Somebody, thank you for the comment saying, hey, there's a way to do this faster. But we can just assume like the borders here are deltas. They cannot be the same. So when we look at this guy, we can know it can't extend out to the left. That will create a same size. So it's gonna have to extend to the right. And this, that's a given. And that forces the rest of the board, just like that. Oh, we also have polyomino. I should have mentioned we have polyomino. Just real quick, I want to explain something before we move on. This shape here was very important that they put this here because it also meant that we couldn't do something like this. We couldn't divide this in half because these two shapes would be the same. So I was just looking through like, how are we going to disambiguate that? This shape was very important for that. All right, moving on. We got a shape bank. We got either a 1x3 or a 2x2, and we got to do mingles. Now we can start right here. This has to extend out. That will be our 1x3. This could be a 2x2, but it also could be a 1x3. So we're not going to, we can. We got mingle. Mingle's in place. This cannot be a 1x3. So when I was saying this could happen, cannot. So this is a 2x2, which means this will be a 1x3 in some form or fashion, but it cannot connect to this guy. Can't go up. So it's going to have to go down. So which means this here is going to be a forced 2x2. This is going to be a 1x3, and there we go. Let's get some extra colors, by the way. I wish the game would remember that I like lots of colors. I want my windows to be fully stained. All right, we got a 1x1, a 1x2, and a 2x2, and we are doing mingles. Okay, this is going to be fun here. So we can just start right here. That is a shape, which means now this cannot be a 1x1. So it's going to have to be a 1x2 because it can't be a 2x2. Now we can look at right here. What is this? It's not a 1x1. It's not a 1x2. So this is going to have to be a 2x2. Going out this way, this can't be a 1x1. So it's a 2x2. This can't be a 1x2 or a 2x2. So it is a 1x1. This is a 2x2, 1x1, 1x2, 1x1. And let's finish that out. I am trying to balance being over descriptive in the logic and not belaboring the point. It is a hard balance. I do want to make sure that I don't skip logic steps. I don't want anybody to feel like I've skipped a logic step, but sometimes I feel like I probably do belabor some of the points a little bit too hard once we get there. So I'm going to try to find the balance on that. All right, this does have to come out. I don't know if it turns or if it goes down. This also has to come out, and it's either going to turn or go out. But these cannot connect if they are to, like if this one, so let's just say real quick, if this went this direction, this is going to fail the mingle because this would have to go out. So this cannot be the take, which means where does this come from? It has to go there. And this has to be a 1x3 because it can't be that. So that goes into place. This now has to be the corner. This is going to have to be a 1x3. This is going to have to be a corner. And there's the 1x3. All right. Got some puzzles over here. Mingles with rose windows. I love rose windows, by the way. I think the rose windows so far are my favorite rule set. So looking at the rose windows, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 circles. So that means we're going to have 6 shapes. So let's look at this guy coming out right here. It is going to have to extend. It is going to need another shape. It can't go to the right, so it has to keep extending. And now it can't extend anymore. That is the end of that shape. This one comes out. It could grab here or here, but if it went to the right, it would mess up the shape. So it's going to come down. That shape is now complete. This comes down. Let's just draw that in. Let's look down here. We've got this. There's a lot of constraint right in here. A lot of constraint. So this circle has to connect to either this blue square or it connects to this blue square. And I don't see that that's a problem, other than I do see where it breaks, but I don't want to go that far into the logic. It is a problem taking here, but I'm looking really far ahead to see why that is. It's going to have to go down. But actually, I say that that's going to create a problem this direction. Maybe I'm missing something else here. Oh, I see it. No? The problem is going to be this guy up here. This square cannot go with this one. This is going to have to cut around and grab. But looking at this, so let's just look what this can't be. This cannot be this because of that border right there. So if this comes down, this is important. If this comes down, it has to grab here, and it can't grab either of these. This is a closed shape, and that is a contradiction. So this cannot grab that. This can't. It has to come out, which just shocks me that's the case, which means this one has to come out because these can't be in the same region. This could extend a little further. I'm not going to stop there, but this does need a triangle. So it's going to have to extend. Can't grab there. It's going to have to extend. It can't be the purple. This can't be the purple region because that will isolate this triangle. That's going to isolate this triangle right here. So this is going to end up coming across. That's going to come across because this one here, okay, this triangle needs a square. Let's just start with this. This triangle needs a square. It can't be this one because that's crossing a border. It can't be this one because we just talked about that. That's going to isolate this triangle, and that's it. So this square's off limits. So it does have to go here. So we can't say this has to grab here. And now this also needs a circle. If I grab this one, it's going to isolate. So that's going to be there. Now it could come down. I'm not going to do it. But this right here now is a region just forced. So what is the problem here? Now, why this has to grab here? But how do I determine which shape it is? Because if it goes like this, that's a different shape. That's not breaking anything. And if I go like this, okay, hold on. I see it. Doing it showed. Just because this border's here, I was not considering these two shapes because of this border. But these two shapes do border. It doesn't matter that this was a fixed border. They still border each other. This cannot be 1x3. This does have to extend. That's forced. Okay. That's where, and again, that's where I like working through it to make sure I see all the pieces, but maybe took a little too long on that one. Let's keep going. We're still doing mingle shapes. We're still doing rose windows. We've got a hexagon, square, diamond, circles, and triangles, and we're doing exactly 2 shapes. So just real quick, what we can't do is this, right? And I hope that's obvious. I'm putting this in here just to show that this is the same shape, split across. I just wanted to to point that out there. That's a hard no. These are a shape boundary. So what this means is whatever shape this is and whatever shape this is, this shape or this shape will have to cross this middle line. Something has to cross that middle line. Now they both can cross a little bit also, but we can't we can't do something like this either. Like this is the same problem. They both just come across a little bit. Can't do that. So when they cross, either they're both going to completely cross, but they have to, the pattern has to diverge. But where I was just drawing, that is what's going to happen, is we're going to take some of the, like one of these shapes has to go with this side and one of these shapes has to go with this side. So the question is, which one goes which? Does this extend this way or does this extend that way? And how do we disambiguate that? This is the question right here. How do we disambiguate which one extends out? Because one of them will extend like this, and that'll force the other one to extend like that. But the other option is it extends like this and like that. So there's but one of these doesn't work. So which one doesn't work and why is that? So let's think about, it's the triangle here that's going to disambiguate. What does this triangle connect to? Does it matter? And why is this one way over here? So if this is the way, so then this would have to go this direction. This has to come out and connect somehow. So this has to get up to the top. So this one will have to take that. This has to come out and it'll have to come around here. Well, let's start with that. Let's back this up. I think that instead of doing this middle, how do these two, first question, can this hexagon connect to this circle? And I'm going to go and say that is obviously false, but I'm going to show why. If this came down and somehow connected here, first of all, it has to take at a minimum a diamond and a square. You cannot cross this without taking one of both. Now I could come down like this. Now I got 2 diamonds. That's a problem. But you have to take at least 1 diamond to do this. Once I've done this, no matter what path I did, I mean, but it doesn't matter what the path is. The point is this hexagon is now needing to take this circle and it cannot cross this line. It can't go around it. So this is all that to say is this hexagon and this circle are the same region. This hexagon and this circle are the same region. And this is going to prove something. And I probably should prove this in a way, but that's going to require me to take the entire border. And I think that's obvious to everyone, but I want to say this clearly. If you didn't take the entire border and we said, okay, this is not part of that region, how does this region get over there to take it? It can't. It can't cross. I have to connect these two somehow. And as soon as I do that, I create a wall that we can't cross over. So this is a forced, you have to go around. That's the same thing that's true on this side. And now we can see what happened here. This diamond, this triangle has been picked up into this shape. This shape needs a triangle, so that is forced. So now we are down to all of this is required. Now the question is, which one of these diamonds go with the blue and which one go with the green? So and the disambiguator is the mingle shape. We can't recreate and I think here's the easy way to see it. If this takes green, we're going to have a mixed mash shape. I think this is the key right here. If this is green, I'm going to have a mingle shape violation. This cannot be green. It has to be blue. As soon as this is blue, this is blue. As soon as this is blue, I have to go up or down. If I go up, I can't. I'm going to isolate. So the blue is going to have to come straight across like that. And then the green comes like this. All right. Nice, pure logic. That's what we like here, folks. We're doing this using nothing but logic. All right, let's fill in our shapes around the edge here. So we know that the corners can't be 1 by 1, so this has to be at least be that. This would have to at least be that, right? These both have to come out. Same thing's true here. This has to come out. This has to come out. They can't be 1 by 1s. Now this is forced. This is now a corner, and because of the mingle shape, this must extend, but this also must extend, so that is forced. This region and this region can't be the same because of the border, and this cannot be a 1 by 1, so that has to be a 1 by 2. There's our puzzle. Let's keep going. All right, we got some shape bank going on with we got a polyomino is what it's called. I call it, it's not the shape bank. And we got the mingle. All right, so this can either go out or come down. We got a W pentomino. The W could go something like this, but here's a problem with that. What's this W gonna be? It's gonna be forced no matter what it touches. This one cannot be next to this one. So that is off limits. So this W has to extend something like this to keep that separated. On the same pattern, this one cannot take up because that'll match. So it's going to have to come over like that. These are done. This one can, I could say this right. Can this one ever extend out that direction? And the answer is no, because it goes to next there. So that has to come down. This one also can't go that way. So it's going to go this way, and that finishes out. Everything else is a 1 by 1. All right, let's come down here. We've got a 1 by 1, a 1 by 2, and we can't mingle. And this is the 1 by 1 here. So this is a 1 by 2, which means this is a 1 by 1, which means this is a 1 by 2. That's a 1 by 1. That's a 1 by 1. This is a 1 by 2. And this cannot be, well, actually, I could say that I could 2 it down, and that could be a 1. So we can't, we got to be careful there. Let's fill these in. This could go up like that. It could go like this. No, this can't go like this. This is important because it creates a problem right here. What goes here and here? Well, these are okay. Like if I do this, but as soon as I make these a 1 by 1 each, then they're a mingle issue. So this 1 by 2 cannot extend out like that. And the same thing's true going this direction. This doesn't work. Like I can't put a 1 by 2 here. So this thing cannot extend extend right or extend down. It does have to extend up. And then these are both 1 by 1s, which means this will be a 1 by 2. The question is, does it go down or up? This is a 1 by 2 for the same reason, but it can't touch this 1 by 2. So these will both have to go out the other direction. All right, we got a 1 by 1 and a corner shape, and we cannot mingle. So where is the break in here? Where's the break in? There's some I'm looking at these corners here because I feel like that's going to be a constraint. Well, I also like right here, these 3. If this is a 1 by 1, then this has to be a corner, and I can't. And then I'm forced to put another 1 by 1, and then I could put a corner. And the same thing's over here. If this tries to be a 1 by 1, then I can't put a corner over here. So both of these are corners, and this is a 1 by 1. But this doesn't tell us if it's a corner going up or a corner going down, because actually, this is the same thing from the last puzzle. This creates a problem here. Going down like this creates a problem because what goes here? Well, this has to be a 1 by 1. This has to be a 1 by 1. but then this can't be a 1 by 1 and it can't be a corner. So what goes there? There's no, like, that breaks. So this has to go up. And I think that same logic's true over here. This would have to be a 1 by 1. Then what's that? Doesn't work. So that has to go up. So these now are both 1 by 1s. This will be a corner of some kind. And it can't be that kind. The same problem is here. We can't create that shape in there. This would work going that direction. But this would not. We can't do this either. So this right here is a problem because this cannot be a 1 by 1 and it can't be a corner. So this shape cannot go, it has to be a corner and it can't go down. So that is the shape. These are both 1 by 1s. This both have to be corners, so it's going to grow out like that because they both have to be corners, so they both have to extend. These are both 1 by 1s. This is a corner. That's a 1 by 1. This is going to have to be a corner, and it's not going to be able to be a corner like this because that's going to create a 1 by 1 here. So another way to think about this has to be a corner piece, and this has to be a corner piece, and two corner pieces can't be next to each other unless they're the same one. Now, can it be like this? The answer is no, because this would have to be a 1 by 1 touching that one, so it's going to extend out here. That's a 1 by 1, and that's the puzzle. I like that one. That was a really nice flow of logic there. All right, we got a 1 by 1 and a T tetromino, and somehow this is forced. I see it in my head. Now I've got to prove it. So just to show you what the answer is going to be, it's going to be this. That's the answer. Just to let you know, I see the puzzles. I can tell you what but we don't. It's not about just knowing what we have to be able to prove it with logic. So it helps to be able to know what the answer is, but let's start with why it has to be that. So if we put the T here, this, and this all have to be 1 by 1s. This would have to be the T, which means these would have to be 1 by 1s, which means this would have to be a T, which means these would have to be 1 by 1s, and this would have to be a T, and now we're stuck with a contradiction. What goes in the center? That doesn't work. This logic is repeatable. I can mirror it. So whether if it doesn't matter if I put the T into the corner, we're gonna end up with that contradiction. It doesn't matter which way I do the T. If I do the T like this, if I do the T like this, we could even try the T like this. This is all kinds of wrong because what in the world goes here? This doesn't work, right? There's no at no point can the flat side of the T be towards the middle. We've seen that multiple times now because this has to be 1 by what goes in there. Nothing can be there. So the flat side of the T has to go along the edge, and it can't go in the corner because it'll create a pattern like this, right? And it forces nothing into the middle. Nothing in the middle. The middle becomes the problem. So the other way to think about it is a T can never go in the middle in any form or fashion because we can never have a long edge. So so we can start with this and say this has to be a 1 by 1. And as soon as that has to be a 1 by 1, this has to be a T, this has to be a T, that has to be a T, that has to be a T, and the long edge cannot be in the middle. So it's going to force out like this. And that is our pure logic path. I know you guys, that's why you guys are here. I know you guys are here. You want to see the logic. We want to push it out. We don't want to take any of the logic for granted. All right, corners and L pentomino. So this is forced, right? There's no way to get a 3 by a 3 length in here. So that just has to be a 1 by 3. We still have the mingle shape. So this is going to have to be a long one, and it has to go out like this. It has to. Because it has to take this shape right here. And that's the only place it can grow. This has to be a corner piece, so that's forced. This has to be a corner piece, that's forced. Now, this is an interesting one here because this cannot be a corner piece. This must be a corner piece. So if we force, this has to be the corner piece. That has to go like that. This has to not be the corner piece. And each one goes like that. All right. Both of these have to be not a corner. It has to be the L. The L cannot grow to the right. It'll interfere with that one. So the L has to grow down, and then it grows like that. This must have a corner piece next to it, so that grows here. This must have an L next to it, so whatever comes out here is an L, and the rest is forced. And we unlocked the Mingle shape window. Yay! We are cruising. All right, let's keep going around. 1x2 and a corner piece. Where is our pressure? Looking at places like this, where shapes have to get through narrow passages. So this is an interesting piece right here. If this grows this direction, I could tell you it's not a 1x2. Well, let's just do this. That has to grow. That's just there. So the question is, can this be a part of it? If it is, that's going to create a problem right here. Because I can't put none of these, like this has to be a 1x2 and this has to be a 1x2, but these can't be the same 1x2. They both, and so as soon as one of these takes that, this can't be a 1x2. So this cannot grow that direction. It has to grow this direction. This has to grow. It cannot be a corner piece. So that is, this has to grow. It cannot be a corner. This has to grow. It can't be a 1x2. This has to grow. It cannot be a corner. Oh, I just created a contradiction. What's this? This can't be either. How did I create this contradiction? Oh, wait a second. Let me just reset this. Let's start. I was thinking this was empty. This is not empty. Let's start with this. This is not an empty space. 1x2. Can this has to be a corner piece. But if it was a corner, then what is this? That doesn't work. We've already said that this doesn't work multiple reasons, but this is a corner, but then what is this? It can't be a corner and it can't be a 1x2. So that has to grow this direction. Or this could be a 1x2. What am I saying? This could be a 1x2. In fact, it is a 1x2. I don't know why I'm forcing this. This was my logic fault from the very beginning. I forced this to be a 1x2. Bad logic. We know this has to take at least this. This has to be 1x2. So this has to be a corner. This has to be a corner. That has to be a corner. And this has to be a corner. So this corner has to grow down like this. This has to be a 1x2. This has to be a corner all the way around. This has to be a corner and it has to go up. This has to be a corner. It can't go up. This needs a 1x2. This needs a corner. This needs a 1x2. This needs a 1x2. And that is the puzzle. I'm sorry I started off with bad logic on that one, folks. I'm glad we caught it. And sometimes it's best just to start over when you just make a logic blunder as bad as that. And by the way, I never claim to have perfect logic. As you guys have caught me in the past, pointing out where I made a logic mistake. I do want to try to keep a compilation where I do have, like, I just got lucky. I made a logic mistake and it just turned out. I do want to eventually maybe try to go back and solve those puzzles correctly because I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. All right, this has to grow. So 1x2. It could be a 1x3. But what would this be then? If this was a 1 by 2, what is this? Whatever it is, this has to grow and it's not part of this. So this is a 1 by 2. That is a 1 by 3. This is a 1 by 2. This will have to be a 1 by 3. I don't know if it goes there or there. But this has to be a 1 by 3. This has to be a 1 by 2. This has to be a 1 by 3 going up or to the right. It can't go to the right because it puts, this can't be a 1 by 2 or a 1 by 3. So this does have to go up, which now forces this to have to be a 1 by 2. Can't be a 1 by 3. This has to be a 1 by 3. This a 1 by 2. This a 1 by 2. 1 by 3. 1 by 2. This needs to be a 1 by 2. So that's a 1 by 3. I've already said this. So that has to go that direction. That goes that direction. We need to put a 1 by 3. And that's it. All right. Well, I think this is a great place for us to stop. Thank you so much for your support, folks. Like and subscribe if you haven't already for more of this kind of content. Whatever you do, I do hope to see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.